everyone. Welcome to Switchblade Sister Social Club, the true crime podcast where two friends exploit their worst fears for your entertainment.
You're welcome.
I'm Dee, a writer and podcaster.
And I'm Isla from Criminally Good Books, a true crime and crime fiction bookshop in York.
Follow us on all the socials.
Except for X, obviously.
Or have a look at our website, switchbladesistersocialclub.com.
Check them out for all our latest episodes, events, deals, and other weird stuff.
Listeners' discretion advised.
Hi!
Hi, how are you?
I am good. I have a new podcast co-host, and our regular listeners will know exactly who the hell you are, because you are Isla, the world-famous Isla of Criminally Good Books in York, who we mention on almost every episode previously, right?
Absolutely, yeah, definitely.
Because your shop is our happy space.
You set up my shop, Dee. It was your fault.
Well, I have a little list of things that we have done for each other, which is kind of the story of how we know each other. First, you gave me a job.
You basically saved me. Yep, I gave you a job, yep.
Then I got you married.
You did get me married.
Then I impregnated you.
You did, but we might not mention that.
Then you set up my favorite place in the whole world, Criminally Good Books.
Absolutely.
And now you're my podcast co-host.
I'm so excited, Dee. It's meant to be.
Well, first I want to say, those of you who've listened, me and Emma have not fallen out. She just has a very busy life, whereas we have none. So...
yeah, I mean, I've got a situation now where I've got lots of people working for me and they're absolutely fantastic. And I figured I would just add something else to the list of things.
Yeah. Okay. Well, okay. So it's not that we have no life. It's just that we have ADHD.
we just throw it all together, don't we?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm really excited about the possibilities of what that means for this podcast, because obviously we'll be taking the show on the road. Now
oh my God, I'm so excited, Dee. I'm so excited. You have no idea how excited I am.
I know. So we're going to have a proper planning session, maybe in Harrogate. Those of you going to Harrogate Crime Writing Festival, let us know, because we will be there. We love going. And so will Emma. So we will have... We're getting an accumulation of Switchblade Sister Social Club alumni. But I suppose that's the point. It's a social club, right? So
exactly. It's a shame we can't get Randa there.
Oh, I know, but kids in it. I also want to just say we're not recording that far in advance. We record in advance, but we're not recording in December, despite what Isla's decorations behind her would imply. She still has Christmas decorations up, including one that I made her, a little cross stitch of a gnome pulling his pants down. Yeah. So I say we just get started. I feel like everyone knows you really, really well.
Yeah, well,
because I talk about you all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so excited to hear the story. Tell me the story. Tell me the fucking story.
Yes!
I would say my mum for everyone is going to be really, really upset with Dee and I, by the way. She said that she's going to nip us. She doesn't like swearing, and she already, whenever she sees Dee, she'll always gives her a little bit of a nip in the arm, doesn't she? She doesn't like swearing. So sorry, Mum.
I also am wearing a tribute to Rhonda, the original co-host, this flannel shirt, because some of you might remember that we used to record in our matching flannel pajamas. Have you got flannel pajamas? Because we can reintroduce that.
I've got a flannel shirt.
All right, maybe we're the flannel shirt social club from now on. Right, so the case, I wanted to ask, because Isla, obviously you're Scottish, and then you moved down to London, and then you moved up to York. Where did you live in 1999?
Prestwick hang on. I was St Andrews, but then also Prestwick.
Okay,
University St Andrews, and then home Prestwick.
All right, so I don't know. I'm sure you'll know this case, especially because you soon after moved down to London, right? But because it's London based. I picked this case because it really stuck with me, and actually I found researching it much harder than I thought, because like all of the memories of the fear of this case happening in real time kind of came back. So I'm gonna start.
Can I guess? Are you going to give me some clues?
I'm going to read you a little intro, and if you want to guess at any point. So it's the spring of 1999, and London was bracing for a celebration. The clocks were ticking towards a new millennium. Do you remember all that? We were all scared of Y2K, but for the most part, everyone was excited about progress and connection and change and all sorts. But someone else had a different vision. Between April 17th and April 30th, a single man stalked the streets of London with homemade weapons of mass destruction in his rucksack. He left carnage in Brixton. He struck again in Brick Lane and then in Soho. He detonated a bomb packed with nails designed to maim and kill indiscriminately. His target wasn't just the people in those neighborhoods. It was the very idea of a multicultural, queer, diverse London that we love. David Copeland, a white supremacist, homophobe, neo-Nazi, wanted to ignite a race war. He wanted his name remembered. And for one terrible week, the city held its breath, not knowing when or where he'd strike next. This is the London nail bomber.
God, can you imagine the fear?
Yeah, because this
ticks all those boxes, doesn't he, of absolute fucking weirdo.
Yeah, just fucking dickhead. I can't imagine the fear because I remember it really well, because like this was a time I was sort of like 16-ish. I was far too young, but I was going out a lot. I was going out into these areas. I have a multicultural background, so like, you know, I loved going out in Brixton. I loved going out around Brick Lane and everything because, you know, it was nice.
Who doesn't?
It was diverse and everything. And then obviously I spent a lot of time in Soho. We had some awesome metal pubs and some really, really cool like goth clubs, as well as gay bars and all sorts. So I was constantly there. And I forgot a bit how short a time span this was. It was literally a week. And it was like we did all hold our breath. It was terrifying. So so yeah, going back and revisiting it was,
I'm really excited to hear about this one, Dee, because obviously like I lived in London, but this was a couple of years before I moved to London. So I was in St Andrews and then in Prestwick. And I don't know about some people, but sometimes in Scotland, like particularly, you know, university, you're kind of isolated, aren't you? You don't necessarily like, you just focus on your uni life. You don't necessarily focus on, for me anyway, it was just very much university, not what was happening in the rest of the country. So I remember it. But
and you would have heard it. You would have heard about it, right?
Now having lived in London, like the fear that you would have. So yeah, I don't really know much about this case, so I'm really excited to hear more.
And it was just very clear early on that it was clearly being done by someone who was racist, who was homophobic. So it was just horrible in so many different ways. My sources are a podcast that I found and then binged after doing the research for this one, True Gay Crime. Love it. And then a bunch of articles from The Independent, BBC, Guardian, and so forth. In particular, one article that I am going to put in the show notes. I was having a drink on a warm spring evening, then a nail bomb exploded just feet away. So I'm going to start first now with some information about David Copeland, who we know has committed this crime. So I'm not even going to build up to reveal what kind of scum was responsible for holding our beautiful, diverse city hostage. It's hard to believe, like I said, that all of this happened in just over a week. So like just including the manhunt and so forth, it's about a 2-week period. And it's just surprising to me because I still remember it so well. It was so terrifying at the time. It's so hard to believe that it was such a short time period that has left such a huge impact. So David Copeland was actually a local boy. It won't surprise any of you local people to me that he's from Hanworth. No judgment. My brother-in-law is from Hanworth, but he has not one single positive thing to say about it. So that's where David Copeland is from. For just a little bit of light relief, the Patrick, the true gay crime podcast host that I mentioned.
I am so excited about this podcast. I'm going to have to.
Oh, he's so good. But he pronounced, so Hanworth is in the borough of Hounslow, and it's right next to where I live. He pronounced it Hoonslow.
Oh, that sounds very posh. Let's take that one.
Slow. I know, so cute. So cute. Yeah, so basically he's from 5 minutes up the road from where I live. I'm going to show you a picture of him. Just bear with me. Some of you will fucking remember it. Because just bear with me. For a minute, I thought I'd forgot to press record. But they've just moved where it appears on the screen. What am I doing? I'm sharing my screen because I want to show you this prick. Sorry, Mama Hams, but he really is. That's him.
Unreal. Like, I don't even know what to say. Like, why would you think it's okay to do what you've done? Like, what could be so bad in your life that you feel it's okay?
Well, let's go on. Let's
hear more about this dickhead.
Yeah. He was born 15th of May, 1976. His father was a train driver and his mum was a stay-at-home mum. He had 2 brothers, and they moved to Yateley in Hampshire. I don't know Yateley, but Hampshire's really nice. He got 7 GCSEs and left school in 1992. And he was worried as a teen that he might be gay. And I'm sure a lot of teenage boys wonder at some point if they're gay, if they're honest, you know? I think that's a totally healthy question to ask yourself, you know? Let's think consciously and mindfully about what our sexuality is, and not just assume that we're one thing because society, it makes it easier to be that thing. Like, yeah,
absolutely. And he's got like 9 GCSEs.
7.
He's not 7, sorry.
You know,
sorry,
still,
gave him 2 more there. But he's not like he's a smart guy. Like, you know, he's got GCSEs.
Yeah, it's just a shame that it went the way it did. But just FYI, any teens or anyone, it's okay to question whether you're gay or not, you know?
Absolutely.
And also, I recommend experimenting a bit. So you know for sure what you are.
We've all experimented to work out where we're going.
Yeah.
Who we are, what we're about.
Hi, Mama Hams. Hello again. Is this better than us swearing? So combine this with his paranoia. He thought, for example, that when his parents were singing the Flintstones theme tune for a start, so they all sat around watching. Yeah, so they're all sitting around watching the Flintstones and the whole family singing along to the theme tune. It's kind of charming, but he saw it as a personal attack on him when they sang the line, we'll have a gay old time. He thought they were making a dig at him.
Oh, it's just like the use of the word gay. It was happy, wasn't it? And then
yeah,
but
so
okay,
yeah.
Well, that's a shame. That's a shame that he felt that way.
Yeah, and remind people that this is early 90s and society as a whole was a lot more homophobic than it is now. So, there's no judgment if people are worried about coming out because of that, especially way back when in the old time machine back in the 90s. But it's just a shame that he had clearly some sort of paranoia, anxiety issues. So there's varying reports about his older teenage years. Some teachers and classmates say they don't remember him at all, and others say that he had a nickname, Mr. Angry. Neither of them are a good look. Like, either he was so invisible people don't fucking remember him at all, or they remember him as Mr. Angry.
And that's not the kind of thing that you want your peers to remember you for, like not remember, think that you're angry. I mean, hopefully people that I went to school with would remember me.
I remember you as that angry colleague.
The angry ginger.
He was also quite short. He was 5'3" and apparently self-conscious about it. Now, we love a short king, but clearly this was an issue for him. This affected his confidence, his paranoia, and so forth. Copeland, after he was arrested, was obviously interrogated a lot, and so a lot of stuff has come out since. He claims that he's had sadomasochistic dreams since the age of 12. He dreamt that he was reincarnated as an SS officer and given access to sex slaves.
And he was how old when
12.
this?
Most 12-year-olds are like having sex dreams about seeing a tit, not fucking being a Nazi officer and seeing and having sex slaves. Like, that is beyond, right? And obviously this is his word.
The word tit. I love the word tit.
You're a
tit. Tit.
When he left school, which, as we said, he left after GCSEs, he had a bunch of jobs. None of them that he was particularly successful at or stayed in very long. So, of course, he blamed immigrants.
Oh my God, I was waiting for this, Dee. I was waiting for this.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we find it so much. Like when people other people and blame a whole group of people for something, it's quite often because they're struggling in their own life, and it's much easier to blame someone else than to look inwards, right?
Absolutely. Do you know what I found recently? Sorry.
Go on.
What I found recently that was really good was that yesterday I saw on socials Germany, they had several different companies and they had all their staff, like let's say it was a car showroom, a hospital, etc. They had all of their staff standing there, and then they said, okay, all the immigrants move away. And honestly, in the hospital, they had like 5 people left out of about 40. The car showroom, they had 1 guy. Then they had a McDonald's and they had 1 person left. Like honestly, and they went to different places, and there's the majority. It was just really, really eye-opening. So
I know, but we see that as like, look, these immigrants are not coming over here being scroungers. They're working hard. Whereas a fucking David Copeland would see that as, look, they've stolen all the good jobs. But I always think about the meme. And it was something like, yes, Gary, with your 1 GCSE, Khalid the neurosurgeon is stealing your job, you know? So
love it, love it.
Yeah. Copeland turned to petty crime and drugs, which is obviously a great way to improve your job opportunities and reduce your paranoia.
That looks so good in a CV. Smart boy.
Smart. His dad stepped in and got him a job as an engineer's assistant on the London Underground. The London Underground being a really good employer. Like, apparently if you get in, you're sorted for life. You get free transport, your partner gets free transport, blah, blah, blah.
That's such a good job. Like, and you know, loads of people would be crying out for that job.
And it's terrifying that someone like this has had a job like that, you know, even before the nail bombing. But anyways, his parents got divorced when he was 19. But I think if you make it to 19 with your parents still together, you've had a good run, right? I know it's like a little bit different in the 90s. It was slightly less common to have divorced parents, but it's not like they divorced when he was young or whatever.
It's going to be tough for anyone, but he is an adult.
Of course. But it seemed also like his parents both loved him and showed him support before and after the divorce. So he seemed to have like the best case of divorce that you can possibly have, if that makes sense. His mum says that he was a happy kid and she had no indication of what was to come. I'm not sure if that's true or if she's delulu, because this was also the time where he was known by some people as Mr. Angry. So maybe that was a side of him his mum never saw.
Yeah, I mean, our parents, sorry, mum, probably don't know all of our stuff. Mind you, you see your parents every day. They know everything about you, Dee.
Unfortunately, yes, they do. Hashtag foreign dad syndrome. So at the age of 21, he joined the BNP, the British National Party.
Of course he did.
Yep, as mentioned, this fucker is a neo-Nazi. So this made me go on a little side tangent because it's relevant. Into neo-Nazi ideology and the BNP manifesto. So trigger warnings, because this will make you mad. It refers obviously to the Nazis in World War II, neo-Nazis being more modern day Nazis. This movement is entirely based on hatred. Make no mistake, it is based on the idea of white supremacy and superiority over other racial groups and religions, and of course, sexualities as well. There are no redeeming features to this movement at all. And if you
Can't
disagree,
imagine a single one. Yeah, I
just
agree.
we're not the podcast for you.
No, switch off now.
Yeah. So sadly, this movement is global and there are different views within it. It's not as cohesive as you might think.
Really?
So I'm going to, well, you know, like any big movement, right? There's like more extreme versions, more moderate in quotation marks. I don't think this can apply to neo-Nazis, but definitely more radical ones, more militant ones, more violent ones, more religious ones, et cetera, et cetera. So it's based on the Nazi doctrine of including ultranationalism, anti-communism, racism, ableism, xenophobia, homophobia, anti-Semitism, and initiating the Fourth Reich. So this is a hypothetical successor to Hitler and his Third Reich, which a lot of people think is Trump, that we are in the era of the Fourth Reich. But let's get one thing straight. There's nothing wrong in pride of your heritage, where you're from, your nation. It's when it goes beyond and it goes to thinking that your heritage, your nationality, your race, your religion is superior to someone else's. That's the problem here. I am fiercely proud of being Palestinian and Flemish. You know, I don't for a minute think that that makes me better than others. It means that I am entitled to the same rights and opportunities as everyone else, not more.
Absolutely. And I'm a proud Scot and ginger.
Yes, you are. Weirdly, neo-Nazis are Holocaust deniers, which I find weird because you would have thought that they would have some sort of misplaced pride in the Holocaust, right? Because they're all pro-Hitler. So that confused me. And then here I went on a tangent within a tangent because I have perhaps a slightly controversial view on this. So some countries have made it illegal to deny the Holocaust. I mean, we know it happened. We know it's one of the worst moments in history. I'm not disputing that at all. We know that millions of Jews died. We know that no, they didn't die. They were brutally murdered. Sorry. Millions of people from other backgrounds, races, religions, sexualities got murdered as well. But the view I have, tell me if it is controversial, I find it weird that it's one of the few things that it's illegal to deny. For two reasons. One, there are other things that have happened in history that are awful that you are legally allowed to deny. And two, I find it a slippery slope telling people what they can and cannot believe and say.
Absolutely, yeah, I agree.
So in all honesty, if we're going to go down that slippery slope, I would love to make it illegal to deny evolution, for example, because I went to a school where some kids were allowed to leave science class if we discussed evolution.
Oh my God.
Right? So that's my problem. I find that equally harmful to society because then you get these batshit right-wing fanatical Christians as a result.
Flat earthers.
Yes, exactly. Like, it's not me agreeing with neo-Nazis or fighting for their right to express their hateful views. I just find it interesting that some things we're allowed to say, some things we're not. Who's deciding that?
Yeah, exactly. Who's deciding it? Completely.
Because that is interesting in itself.
So interesting.
And why are we allowed to deny some things but not others?
So that's actually the party that have said that, like neo-Nazis.
And so neo-Nazis are Holocaust deniers, and in some countries it's illegal to deny that the Holocaust happened.
Right, got you. Sorry.
And I find that a weird
thing. Can you give me a country as an example? Because I'm really
here. What countries are you not allowed to deny the Holocaust? I'm pretty sure the US and the UK. Just tell me the countries as a list, please. Among countries that have banned Holocaust denial: Austria, Germany, Hungary, Poland, Romania, Russia, not the UK.
Hmm.
Currently, 17 European countries, along with Canada and Israel, have laws in place to cover Holocaust denial as a punishable offense. All right, yeah, I'm sorry, not the UK, not the US, Canada, and a bunch of European
Wow,
countries.
it's so interesting though.
Yeah. And like I said, I just find it interesting who decides what is allowed to be denied and what is allowed to be totally okay, like other fucking crazy beliefs.
I know.
And yeah.
This is the stuff we find out, Dee, with researching for the podcast, like just
Yeah.
other people and their views. And obviously everyone's views, like it's valid to have your own view, but you really do have to question some of them because they're
I'd say it's valid unless it's harmful to others.
absolutely.
Anyways, this is where it gets properly cray-cray, or even more cray-cray, because a lot of these neo-Nazis, they believe in their superiority of the Aryan race. And the Aryan race, I thought was to do with being blonde, blue-eyed, whatever. And actually, it's quite confusing and interesting because the Aryans, there is a group of people called the Aryans, and I think they're from northern India. They're the paler Indians. So
Okay.
I assumed it was some sort of bastardization of that term. But no, they believe that the Aryan race are descendants of Atlanteans or aliens. Yes, let that sink in. They believe that they are descendants of Atlanteans, a mythical place, or
Lost
aliens.
City of Atlantis.
Yes.
No, Dee.
Yes.
What? Or
Yeah.
no.
Yes.
Do you think that all neo-Nazis actually know the background to this?
Would hope they've at least researched this horrible fucking ideology they've signed up to, but who knows? So here in the UK, I went into like neo-Nazism in the UK a little bit just to really piss us off. In 1962, the British neo-Nazi activist Colin Jordan formed the Nationalist Socialist Movement, NSM, which later became the British Movement, BM, in 1968. John Tyndall broke away from the National Front to form the British National Party, openly neo-Nazi. A group called Combat 18 was formed to protect BNP meetings. So they basically were the military wing of the BNP. But this got too violent quickly for the BNP to control, so they broke off. Shit. And they actually started attacking BNP members. And I've put here in my notes, good, kill each other.
Absolutely, go for it.
Along comes Nick Griffin. Do you remember Nick Griffin? Ooh. We knew him as we were growing up as just the world's biggest scumbag. He tried to distance himself from neo-Nazism. He tried to make himself seem like a legitimate politician. He was moderating his language and the manifesto and the party language. He was the head of the BNP. He moderated his language so much that my friend's Iranian mum accidentally voted for the BNP because she was fairly ignorant of politics, let's say. Like, it says a lot about her. I won't name her, but their language had become so subtle that a foreigner had read it and thought, oh yeah, that all sounds good. Currently, the BNP is led by Adam Walker. In September 2012, Walker was given a 6-month suspended jail sentence and a 12-month driving ban. What for? Well, he was a teacher at the time, and he verbally abused 3 kids aged 10 to 12. He chased them in his car, slashed the tires of their bike with a knife. So he was banned from teaching for life.
Oh my God. What did the kids do? Like, not that they deserved it. Like, geez, oh.
I mean, I'm sure they were little shits. They were 10 to 12, but he was a teacher and he chased them with a car, slashed their tires with a knife. The early 2000s, the 2000s were a terrifying time, if you remember, because it's when BNP actually had 50 seats in local government, 1 in the London Assembly and 2 in the European Parliament.
I mean, to be fair though, Dee, I was like at university having the time of my life and getting drunk, which is no excuse for not knowing everything about politics, but some things would have Pass me by.
I should say that you did not study politics at university.
I did not study politics.
Well, for me as a foreigner living here, it was terrifying because it just felt like we were just going back to the Middle Ages. Fucking, I don't know, probably the Middle Ages were nicer. Do you know
I mean,
what
I did study medieval history, so yeah.
Okay. Luckily, they had no seats in Parliament, and it's been fairly quiet since 2019. But there have been other parties springing up since then with very like-minded ideology. Reform. Britain First, National Action, English Defence League, and of course, anything Nigel Farage is involved with. Might do an episode just on him. The views are that only white people should be citizens of the UK, no more non-white immigration, and even to the point where non-whites should be deported. Good luck running your health service, people. The moderate, like,
one thing, sorry, Dee. I think that is really interesting, and also I think that some people who are racist, they run their mouth when they think that they're speaking to someone that's like going to agree with them. And I've got a member of staff that is half Palestinian, but she doesn't necessarily, like, people might not think that she's Palestinian. And we had a customer come into the shop who basically just went on and on about immigrants because they thought that she was going to agree with them, and she didn't.
Yeah, happens all the time.
And people's true colors come out when they think that they're speaking to someone that's going to be like them or is not going to have a different opinion.
Yeah.
So don't come into my shop if you're racist.
Yeah, we don't want your racist money. I get it quite a bit because obviously I sound a bit American, so quite often I get people thinking that and saying stuff, and then they find out I'm Palestinian, and it's like, yeah, just don't be a scumbag. So what was the moderate language? How do you moderate that language then to make it sound less racisty? Well, they started talking about voluntary removals with financial incentives. So basically, we'll pay you to leave our country.
Yeah, exactly.
They are, of course, against mixing heritages because it dilutes the white bloodstream. So, you know, basically, we're on their hit list for many reasons, aren't we? So,
oh God.
They are, of course, extremely anti-Semitic. I want to clear something up, right? Because obviously, again, Palestinian, a lot going on over there. And there's a lot of misunderstanding about the term anti-Semitic. It does not include criticizing Israel. You can criticize the state of Israel as a government and not be anti-Semitic. You are not saying anything bad about Jews or Jewish people or Judaism or anything, or Jesus, whatever. No, you're criticizing a government. What Israel is doing is fucking awful. But also, with regards to Israel and Palestine, the accusations of anti-Semitism are absolutely bullshit, because us Palestinians, we are also Semitic. So, crack on criticizing the state of Israel. So basically, obviously, these neo-Nazis are anti-Semitic, but they are also, of course, Islamophobic and just,
of course they are,
opposed to feminism, LGBTQI+, all of those things. Like anyone that's not white, straight, religious, Christian, etc. White male, I should say, because if they hate feminism as well. Much of its support was from the working class, because it is easy to convince people that are struggling that their issues are because of X, Y, and Z rather than the real issues. And that is like a very clear political agenda, right? Let's manipulate these people into thinking that, you know, all their problems are because of immigration. Luckily, most of the British population in a poll today would like to see the party banned altogether. Woo-hoo! This is what I mean, though. It's crazy that you can't be a Holocaust denier, but you can be a denier of equal rights, equal human rights for all, right? So this is the party that Copeland joined in 1997 when he was 21. Real good influence on him, right? Some say he downloaded the Anarchist Cookbook, and some say it was the Terrorist Handbook, But basically, he downloaded instructions to bomb making from the internet. I would like to say that most people in the late 90s, early 2000s downloaded the Anarchist Cookbook because we all wanted to know what the hell it was even about.
See, I don't even, this has just passed me by, Dee. Tell me about it. I'm so like, what is it?
So, you know, it's got a really fucking cool name for a start. So that's going to
Absolutely.
appeal to teenagers. I downloaded it, saw that there were bomb making instructions and deleted it immediately because I thought, I as a Palestinian should not have this. It's not good for optics. But it was also, I think, a bunch of stuff on how to make your own drugs and this, that, and the other. It was just like, you know, and so loads of us downloaded it because we were curious, you know, like just like loads of us watched Two Girls, One Cup.
Yep. Absolutely.
David Copeland then left the BNP because he thought they were too soft and he wanted them to take more action, meaning more military action.
Oh.
But they are not a legitimate army, so they should not be taking any violent military action. He left because they were not conducting basically terrorist acts.
Do we know what he wanted to do? Like, do we know exactly what he wanted them to do?
Well, he wanted them to take more forceful action rather than sit around and talk. So he then joined the National Socialist Movement. As a socialist myself, I fucking hate this name because they are not socialist. Do not be confused. Socialists want to give people free access to basic life necessities like food and housing and healthcare. But the National Socialist Movement came out of Combat 18. That is like the military wing. Okay. So not socialist at all. Just like the British National Party are not fucking British either because that's not what Britain stands for. The original leader, Charlie Sargent, was on remand for murder of another Combat 18 member, Chris Castle. So they're just...
What the hell, Dee?
A bunch of them moved off and formed the NSM in June 1997. The first leader, David Myatt, got arrested for incitement of hatred. He claimed NSM were not racist, but they are.
I love that. Like, I'm not racist, but I'm not against gays.
They're not racist, but they measure time in the years of the Führer, i.e. in years since Hitler's birth. And they push for a violent revolution.
Oh, God.
David Copeland became the Hampshire organizer of this group just weeks before he started his fucking bomb spree. He also went to the doctor at this time and got antidepressants after telling his doctor that he was losing his mind. So it's a shame at that point that, you know, that seems like a point where maybe some more could be done. And we don't know what he'd said exactly to his doctor, whether this is actually true, et cetera, et cetera.
You know, it doesn't excuse what he did, but I think back in the 90s, there was a lot less understanding of, you know, with people that might have had, you know, anxiety or depression and, you know,
mental health issues. Exactly. Yeah.
And that's a shame if he has had that. But yeah, it would have been great if he'd maybe got some more support. But
yeah, if his teachers that knew his nickname was Mr. Angry had maybe intervened at some point, for example. Anyways, both David Copeland and the NSM, the National Socialist Movement, say that David Copeland was working on his own when he went on to do the things.
Of course he did.
Well, I don't know. I feel like I don't know, would they have taken credit if they could? I'm not sure. He wanted to.
Probably not. Yeah, fair enough.
I don't know. It depends what their agenda was.
Probably internally, they were like.
Oh, I'm sure they were high-fiving each other, but did they want the party to be associated with it? I don't know. Maybe they were trying to be more legitimate or whatever. He wanted to fuel a race war, and ultimately he thought that it would spark a race war that white people would win, which is very Charles Manson-y. This is exactly what Charles Manson thought as well. He wanted to spark a race war, which then white people would win, and they would, or no, I think black people would win originally, and then they would kill each other, and then I mean, who knows what these fucking idiots think. This is in David Copeland's words. My main intent was to spread fear, resentment, and hatred throughout this country. It was to cause a racial war. He wanted white people to win and then vote the British National Party. To the BBC, he wrote, I bombed the blacks, Pakis, degenerates. I would have bombed the Jews as well if I'd got a chance. Apologies for that language because it's fucking awful. I'm just trying to get across this guy's mentality.
What a scumbag.
Apparently, he first got the idea for the bombs after seeing the 1996 Atlanta Olympic bombings.
Oh,
remember?
Yeah, I remember that.
27th of July, 1996, during the Atlanta Summer Olympics, there was a bombing that killed one person, Alice Hawthorne, 44, and injured 111 people. What's sad is that the security guard, Richard Jewell, found the bomb, told authorities, and they started clearing the area, which probably is what saved hundreds of lives. But then he became the main suspect. It was only after 3 more bombs at 2 abortion clinics and a lesbian nightclub that went off in 97 and 98 that the FBI started looking at a man called Eric Rudolph. One of these bombs at a clinic killed a security guard and injured a nurse. Eric Rudolph was arrested in 2003, and in 2005, he pled guilty to avoid the death sentence. So he was sentenced to life imprisonment without parole. And that's when the original security guard, Richard Jewell, who saved a bunch of people, was cleared of it.
Oh my God, that poor guy.
I know.
All those years going through that with people doubting him. And I bet you he lost friends and like people would have doubted him.
The trauma of that day. So that is what David Copeland got his inspiration from. He said he said he targeted ethnic minorities, in quotes, because I don't like them. I want them out of this country. I believe in the master race.
Do you think that he was rejected by someone who was maybe not white and maybe was gay or straight? Do we know anything about his relationships?
No, I think he was just so desperately unhappy with his own life and just wanted to blame other people for it. So, little fun side note, crime writer Bernard O'Mahony wrote to David Copeland while David Copeland was awaiting trial. He posed as a woman called Patsy Scanlon. He wanted to trick Copeland into confessing. Copeland said he was faking mental illness to get a more lenient sentence. And then these letters were shared in court to destroy his aim to get a manslaughter conviction. Which just goes to show his fucking arrogance, huh?
Absolutely.
Like, do you not think they're monitoring things? Anyways, let's get to the bombings. These are horrible trigger warnings, especially if you lived in the area at the time, or because, it's a lot. So the first one was in Brixton near Electric Avenue. Okay, you don't want to shimmy. Fine. We're not talking about a bombing.
You're on your own.
It's Saturday, 17th of April, 1999. Those of you that know Brixton know it has a large Black population. And 90s Brixton is very different to it is today. Like now it's got a box park, it's gentrified, people are moving there in droves. At the time it was still fantastic, but it was just a very different. It hadn't been as gentrified, but you would go there and have amazing food, and you go to Brixton Academy and see amazing gigs. Like I used to love going there. Copeland had made his homemade bomb made from fireworks and nails. Fireworks, another one of my things. They should not be legal for just anyone to buy. You will not have a good fireworks display in your backyard with 3 fireworks. Just ban them unless you're doing an official show. Our dogs hate it. I hate it. They're samey anyways. And then you get pricks like David Copeland who use them for evil. Stepping off my soapbox.
You can pick them up in supermarkets and it's just like so.
You know what you should get in supermarkets? Little sparklers. Done. That should be the extent of fireworks you have in the home. So he put these fireworks and nails in a sports bag, and he left this bag at Brixton Market on a Saturday, Brixton Market. It was noticed by one of the stall holders, Gary Schilling, who moved it to a less crowded area after seeing Copeland and thinking he was acting weird. So again, this is another person who probably saved loads of lives. I imagine Market Day, Gary Schilling, legend.
Well done, Gary.
It actually got moved a further 2 times. The bomb was even removed from the bag, and then people started calling the police. The police arrived at 5:25 p.m. just as the bomb went off. 48 people were injured, many seriously. Loads of the articles at the time showed like this horrific picture of a small child with a 4-inch nail embedded in their skull. And I will never get that image out of my head. I remembered it at the time. The child survived, thankfully. And it came up again when I was doing this research, and it was just awful. I mean, how can that be anyone's aim?
This is one of the reasons that I don't like going out to crowded places. I just don't trust anyone. I don't like busy places. I've turned into, I just want to be at home most of the time.
I know, because, sadly,
in my shop or with my family or with my friends, but not in busy places.
I know. And I think so many things have happened at different events, Olympics, concerts, so
like
forth,
London
crowds.
Like I had just got off the tube, like when the first bomb went off.
Yeah.
And just all that kind of stuff just is triggering. Yeah, absolutely.
So to put it in perspective, London bombings was obviously a couple of years after this. And then we've had, Ariana Grande concerts being attacked and people driving trucks and cars into crowds and stuff. So yeah, it's a scary world out there. So that was the Brixton bombing. Awful, right? No one obviously had any idea who had done it, why they'd done it. And then a week later, Saturday, 24th of April, in Brick Lane, which again, as many of you'll know, is, I think it's something like 70% of the population there is Bangladeshi. So very ethnically, well, it's not that diverse because it's very mainly Bangladeshi, but, very sort of mixed area of London. And there's a street market on a Sunday, but Copeland came there on a Saturday thinking that the market was on the same day. So again, fucking idiot. He didn't want to change his plan. So he gets to Brick Lane, realizes it's not market day, but he didn't want to change his plan. So he left his bag on Hanbury Street. This is only 1 week since the last bomb. So people were on high alert, especially sort of in areas, because it was suspected it was a white person that had been seen leaving this bag behind in a black area. So there was the potential race element already suspected. A man saw the bag and got suspicious and decided to pick it up and bring it to the police station on Brick Lane. Sadly, this was shut. Also, don't pick up suspicious bags. Leave it and call the police is the advice that we take from this, the key takeaway. Also, don't be a racist prick, but sadly, the police station on Brick Lane was shut, and while the bag was in the boot of his car, the bomb went off. So again, this is another move that probably saved some lives, right?
Yeah, I was just going to say it would have saved people.
Yeah.
What happened to the what happened to the guy?
So I don't know specifically what happened to him. I think he was all right, but 13 people were injured. No one died, at least. Then less than a week later, on the Friday, the 30th of April, at the Admiral Duncan pub in Soho on Old Compton Street. Yeah, it's coming. This is awful. Soho, should explain, had always been the sort of entertainment area of London. It was, they've cleaned it up a lot now, but, it was where you had all the theaters and so forth, and then all the sex workers, and then you had a lot of, it was where people could go and be free. So you had a lot of people, it became the gay area. You had a lot of the criminal underworld sort of having establishments and operating there.
You had the best and the worst of London all in the same place.
For sure. And 90s Soho was fucking awesome. I don't go out anymore. So I don't know whether it might still be. I can only attest for when I used to party in Soho, but we had Heaven, we had gay clubs, we had London Astoria, LA2, Denmark Street, which was full of little clubs and everything, Intrepid Fox, the Montague Pike, which is still there. And I actually found a picture of me at the Montague Pike.
Oh my God.
Back literally.
See, this was me in 2002, so I was in London a little bit after this.
Well, I found a picture of me and my friends at Montague Pike. It says 2009, and literally as I was researching this came up as a memory on Facebook. So I was like,
I bet you look adorable.
It's me and Leslie and some of our other friends.
Oh my God, where are you? There's Leslie.
I'm here.
Oh my God.
I have a fringe. That's why you can't tell. We're doing shots.
You're
So
so cute.
it was such a cool area. It's kind of hard to believe. Like I went there recently and they've done up the whole of like Tottenham Court Road area and everything. So it's very sanitized now, let's say. But basically, again, while I was researching this, I got called into a meeting, which was round the corner from the Admiral Duncan. So
Oh my
I
God.
took a picture. I mean, I could have just Googled a picture, but I thought, let me take an actual photo myself.
Yay, I love
Yeah.
it.
And hang on,
What?
close your eyes because I need to scroll.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, open them.
Look at you.
Yeah. So there it is, Admiral Duncan, still there. Still highly recommend going for a drink because it was awesome anyways, but what they've managed to go through and everything. Oh, but it just made me really sad to sort of go there and take a moment to think about what happened.
What was the date that he went there?
So Friday, the 30th of April, which was a bank holiday weekend. It was a lovely evening. Copeland brought a bag into the pub and asked another customer to watch his bag while he went to a cash point, which was probably a lot less weird a request in the 90s. Because if you remember, we had to pay cash all the time. The gay community was already on edge because of the bombing. So, two very ethnic-y areas being attacked. It was very clear what this person was like. And the gay community thought, we're probably next, because people that don't like foreigners also don't like gays usually, right? Many of the publications, like Pink News and so forth, actually warned the community to stay vigilant. So patrons of the pub got really suspicious of this bag very early on. But as the pub manager, Mark Taylor, was investigating it, the bomb went off. It was 6:37 p.m. Mark Taylor was 31 at the time and he received 75% burns. He was taken, but he waited to be taken to hospital. He joked, I can't believe this. I've just paid £30 for a facial.
Oh,
he survived, but this time 79 people were injured and seriously. 4 had amputations and 3 people died.
oh,
The
so
victims, I know, the victims were Andrea Dykes, 27, who was 4 months pregnant. Her husband was seriously injured. They were at the pub celebrating her pregnancy with her friends. So yes, as you can see, it's a female married to a male. She wasn't gay. She was just there because she was an ally and she wanted to celebrate with her friends in a nice, lovely, inclusive, fun place.
Yeah. So tragic.
Nick Moore, 31, and John Light, 32, also her friends, were also killed. I mean, imagine the impact to that family and that friendship group.
Exactly. It's awful. It's so awful.
There was
Can't imagine.
It's just awful. There was an amazing article in The Guardian last year for the 25-year anniversary by correspondent Jonathan Cash, who was actually at the pub at the night of the attack and got injured. So I'm going to show you, again, trigger warning, because this will make, if you were around, this will make everything flood back. But these are pictures of the aftermath. They're not like graphic in the sense you don't see anything. They're just
I remember.
upsetting.
Yeah, I remember. I remember seeing it. Do you know, a couple of authors I know actually went there last month for like the anniversary and like posted about it and stuff. So it's like, obviously it's a massive thing going back every year around the anniversary. But how awful is that? I mean, I can't imagine.
It was horrifying. I mean, we all stayed home during this time because we were scared, it was enough to keep.
You'd be scared of any club. You'd be scared of any, like if you've got like 2 marketplaces were targeted, like, effectively, and then a club was targeted. And presumably at that point, they didn't really know the truth, like the agenda. So obviously yes, it might be like ethnic places, but really you didn't know. So everyone was a target.
You definitely didn't know where he was going next, Probably not Kensington and Chelsea, although there's lots of us Arabs there too. Who knows?
It's mostly Arab.
Yeah, we were just all terrified, you know? So going back to this article by Jonathan Cash, he says in the article that he cries every time he sees that picture that I just shared with you. And yeah, it made me cry researching this case a lot. And maybe I'm dead inside, but I don't normally cry when I research cases. This one fucked me up.
Oh, I am dreading it, Dee. I am dreading doing more research and stuff because I'll just cry at anything.
Yeah, you're a crier. Actually, are you a crier? No, you're not a crier.
I cry at Disney.
Oh,
I cry at like
those are made to make you cry. Yeah. So Jonathan passed out when the bomb went off. And when he came to, he tried to get out. He said, "Movies don't get it right. People don't scream. Not for a while. It was eerily silent." Chills. When he was outside, a woman nudged him out of the way, saying she wanted to get a better view of the puffs.
She should be.
Just sickening. He got reunited with some friends who took him to hospital. He says, "I was examined and told that I had a hole in my shoulder, a big one in my back, and a chunk of flesh missing from my thumb. My hair was singed and my legs from my hips to my ankles were solid purple, green, and black."
Was he in pain or was it like shock? Because like I can't imagine.
I don't know. He must have been in pain. But yeah, you know, sometimes people say like they don't feel when they've initially shot because of the adrenaline or the shock or whatever. So also remember the time and the place, the context. There was also the belief that it might be linked to the IRA.
Yeah.
But the IRA did have different targets. They didn't specifically target these like ethnically diverse areas. They had
more political.
Yeah, so I remember one went off that really fucked us up because it was in Ealing, just up the road from where we lived. And I think it was John Lewis or Selfridges at one point, John Lewis maybe in the toilets or something. You know, it was very different. But obviously the IRA was considered. And then the focus was on right-wing groups like Combat 18. And another group called the White Wolves actually claimed responsibility, which is gross. And it wasn't them. This was also soon after the Stephen Lawrence inquiry, where it was found that following the murder of Stephen Lawrence, that the police had, surprise, surprise, institutionalized racism. So this was a young Black man who was murdered, and as a result, again, the brave family pushed for investigations into the way that the case was handled. And it found that there was racism in the police force from top to bottom, inside and out. And that led to Stephen Lawrence not having a fair investigation and so forth. So there's a lot of like suspicion about law enforcement and those in charge as well. The second bomb was very quickly linked to the first. After the second Brick Lane bombing, they suspected right-wing attacks, but also warned the gay community that they could be a target because they know that neo-Nazis also are not fans of the gay community. On the 29th of April, the day before the third bomb at the Admiral Duncan pub, CCTV footage from Brixton was released of the suspected bomber. So they released footage.
CCTV. Oh, interesting.
It's bizarre that they only shared it almost 2 weeks later and after another bomb. This is part of the reason why Copeland was brought in so quickly after the Soho attack. A colleague of his, the legend that I call Paul Mifsud, called the police when he recognized Copeland from the footage. This call took place an hour and 20 minutes before the third bomb. So it's just a shame, isn't it, that they didn't release that footage sooner, because maybe someone would have recognized him sooner. Maybe, you know, the second and third bomb wouldn't have happened. The Soho bomb
Did you recognize him? Like, did you recognize him from that day, or had Copeland been like scoping out the place?
So they had footage of him when he dropped off the bomb in Brixton.
But how did the guy at the Admiral Nelson? How did he recognize him?
Oh no. They showed the footage on TV and everything. And Paul Mifsud, his colleague, was watching it from home,
Oh,
recognized this
okay.
footage, called the police, told them that's my colleague David Copeland.
Oh
And
God,
then
okay,
an
got you.
hour and 20 minutes later, the third bombing happens.
Sorry, Dee, I misunderstood. I thought this guy, Paul,
Was
actually
at the
worked in the
pub.
pub. Sorry,
Yeah.
got you. Oh my God. Well, that's really brave of him to, I
Well done
suppose,
for coming forward. It's just
coming
such a
forward.
shame. It's just such a shame they only shared that footage the day before. It's like almost 2 weeks after the initial bombing, because they could have
Yeah.
stopped 1 or 2 bombs going off.
Mm.
People were obviously speculating where the next target would be, synagogues, so forth, other diverse areas, other gay areas. Any one of them could have been. We heard what David Copeland had said, that he would have targeted Jews if he had a chance. All the bombs were very quickly linked to each other because of the style of the bomb, the nature of the bomb, etc.
Yeah, what it was made of, yeah.
David Copeland was arrested that night at his home in Hampshire. He quickly admitted to all 3 bombings. He was probably proud. He had 2 Nazi flags hanging in his house, amongst other Nazi memorabilia and loads of newspaper clippings about the bombings. Copeland was assessed at Broadmoor Hospital, throwback to our Broadmoor Hospital episode. He was diagnosed as having paranoid schizophrenia. These diagnoses we always have to take with a little pinch of salt, because so many new diagnoses have come into existence since the 90s, and a lot of things that were diagnosed as paranoid schizophrenia are now called like borderline personality, but anyways, he was, yeah, exactly, good. We should put lots of money into researching these things so that stuff like this doesn't happen again. Although it was deemed that his paranoid schizophrenia was not enough to qualify him for diminished responsibility, which is obviously what he was going for. So his attempt to sort of downsize his charge to manslaughter was thrown out by the Old Bailey. On the 30th of June, the year 2000, so the following year, he was convicted of 3 counts of murder and planting bombs. He was given 6 life sentences, and the judge indicated it would never be safe to release him. Now, remember how he is an idiot?
Okay, yeah, obviously.
I mean, he's evil, but he's also an idiot. June 2014, he attacked another prisoner at Belmarsh Prison where he was staying. He was sentenced to a further 3 years, of which he will serve 18 months. Which I don't understand, because
maybe he feels like he's going to spend his life in prison, hopefully, and he can just do whatever he wants in there because he's not going to get any more of a sentence. So he can just do what he wants, right?
That's true. That's true. Now I have a sad follow-up. This I hated.
Oh.
David Morley was a barman at the Admiral Duncan pub, and he survived.
Okay.
But he did receive quite severe burns. After the bombing, he regularly visited the other victims. In 2004, he was attacked near Waterloo Station. Basically, do you remember the stupid happy slapping trend?
Oh,
I hated this name because happy slapping sounds too silly and lighthearted for what it was, because lots of people were dying. It was just filming people, like idiots would film themselves going up to people and like beating them up just randomly.
Beating them up, not just slapping them.
Well, I guess it started as a slap and then escalated, because basically David Morley was sitting with a friend. They were both gay, and it's thought that they were targeted because they were gay. He was kicked and punched to death. The attackers went on, so they were filming this, they were teenagers. They went on to commit 3 more attacks throughout the night, but David was the only death. God, the pictures in this episode, I'm really sorry. I don't even know if I'll share them on our socials.
How old was David?
Wait, I will tell you the ages, but I just got to show you. They have footage of these teenagers. Sorry, it's a little picture. Remember, these pictures are coming from But this is them not attacking David. This is them attacking someone else later on in the evening. Can you see?
Why would you do that? I mean,
So
they've got to be absolutely shoot. They filmed themselves, and where do they think if their phones or cameras got taken that evidence is there?
the youngest attacker was 14 years old.
Mm.
Her name was Chelsea O'Mahony, and she got an 8-year sentence. Reese Sargent, 21, Darren Case, 18, and David Blenman, 17, all got 12 years each.
Oh, 12
It means
years.
they're out. They're all out.
out.
His injuries were so bad, David Morley's injuries were so bad that the doctor said it looked like he'd been in a car accident. He had over 44 injuries. Morley's friend said, "This is the second time he was in the wrong place at the wrong time, but for all of us here today," this is at his memorial, "he will be in the right place at the right time," which is a very special place in all of our hearts.
Oh God.
Sorry.
First episode, you're going to make me cry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And
That
how
was tough.
awful though. Like he survived that and how, horrific that was. And like going to see all the other victims and just being
No,
a
he sounds
good guy. And then
such a
got
sweetheart.
beaten to death by some complete idiots who are now out.
And his poor friend who was with him at the time, I mean, I don't know if he suffered injuries, but he definitely saw his friend get murdered in front of him. So it's just awful. Like, why are these people
allowed out
like this? Why are they like this?
I mean, I can understand, well, I can't understand it, but I can understand like trends and like people wanting to do stuff, like you get the ice bucket challenge, like that's fucking innocent. That's innocent, but you get lots of these trends, but when they get like violent towards other people, that's not a trend. That's like, I mean, I don't even know what that is.
So going back to the Jonathan Cash article in The Guardian, I didn't want to summarize this because it's too important and it's phrased so well that I'm just going to read you from his article.
Sure.
And so he's obviously talking about the bombings. Until then, the words puffs and queers were used in editorials, even in front page headlines, especially since the advent of the HIV pandemic. Similarly, hateful words were used to describe people from other minority groups. These words in print encouraged constant casual discrimination and infected the way that the LGBTQIA plus people and ethnic minorities were talked about and treated. As far as I'm concerned, every single journalist, editor, and newspaper proprietor who contributed to these attitudes in print is complicit in the deaths of 3 people who are standing just feet away from me and the life-changing injuries of many others, both physical and psychological. Please, please think about the language you use and that you let others use in front of you. If you don't call out derogatory words about people who are somehow regarded as different, hate is normalized and you're complicit.
Completely agree. But
Sorry.
I can't imagine those words being like, I can't imagine. I don't remember those words in newspapers. Like I remember some of those words being used at the time. I don't remember them in print, but he's absolutely right. If they're in print and you're reading it every day and it's normalized and made fun of, then it's just going to continue down to, generations.
Exactly. It's not okay. It's not okay, And if anyone complains about us being too woke or whatever, it's like, sorry, the alternative is this fucking shit, okay? Sorry you can't call people derogatory names anymore. Poor you. It must be so hard for you, while the rest of us are experiencing real racism, microaggressions, fucking removal of our rights, and so forth. I mean, just another tangent. It's not a tangent, it's related. But all of this talk about what makes a woman, with regards to trans and so forth. Do you know what that means for all of us women? It means that all of us have to prove that we are women.
Yeah,
Don't use us.
So stupid. It's just
do not use us you are not protecting us. This isn't part of the feminist movement. We're not worried about trans people in the bathroom. We're worried about the walk from the bar to the toilet. That's when we get fucking assaulted and name called and so forth. Not when we're in there with someone who may or may not.
I've never, ever felt threatened by a woman, a trans person. I've only ever felt threatened by a man. Like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't
So
get it. But
please
that's a whole
don't.
other episode.
That is, but I just would like to say, don't pretend you're doing it for us. You're not fucking doing it for us. We don't want you to do that for us. Not in our name, right?
Thank you, but no thanks.
Yeah. Okay, so woo! I think we need to palate cleanse, right?
Well, I want to know before we about palate cleanse, what is happening to Copeland now? What has he tried to, like, does he want to get released?
Still in jail. I don't know if he's been appealing or whatnot, but he's still in jail. So hopefully he'll fucking stay there till he dies. And hopefully that's a nice long life. Not nice. Hopefully that's a long, painful, traumatizing life where he gets studied so we can stop this happening again, and where he's miserable for a very, 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 very long time.
Oh, I hope so.
That's what I hope for him. But yeah, that need a palate cleanser. We used to do apply to date Emma and Dee, which was depressing because no one wanted to.
No one replied.
We did have replies, and actually I am currently dating someone who did reply.
Yay!
Not because they filled in the form. That's just weird. I had known of him previously. It's our favorite Sam, who we talked about all the time. And you're married, so we're not doing no dating anymore. Not to me, to the lovely Erin. So Emma and I decided to do a thing, and we've decided to carry on doing it.
Okay, tell me, what is it?
It's called the Inquisition.
Oh, yay!
I'm wearing my t-shirt in honor of it. Tattoos are stupid, which is clearly ironic. So, basically we have on our website and on our socials and so forth, the opportunity, she says, for people to fill in the Inquisition form, where we will look at your tattoos and probably sort of judge them slightly, so
we're going to be judgy. I love this.
I mean, we'll make fun of our own tattoos. I'm going to start with one of mine every episode, and then move on to other people. I just have to open up the one that I wanted.
I mean, I've only got 2 episodes worth because I've got 2 tattoos. So.
Yeah, but yours are nice. You can't even comment about.
And I got both of them done with you.
Yeah, of course.
Bad influence.
Yeah. Yes, I am proud of it. So the idea is that you submit a tattoo that you have and you tell us the story, and we just have a little chat about it or whatever. So the first submission of the Inquisition, honestly, just will fucking blow your mind.
Can I just check? Do we have any dick pics?
I mean, we get them all the time, but
not with tattoos.
Well, I don't know yet because I'm saving them for. I want to see them with you for the first time. This is the only exception because my friend Pat WhatsApped it to me instead of filling in the form. So
in the kitchen.
Yes. Now this is the Sugar Babes.
Oh my God, I see it.
Signature of all the Sugar Babes. It's particularly funny because Pat is one of the singers and guitarists of Midwich Cuckoos, a very, very sort of heavy, sort of metal-y band.
Wow.
But he says, this is a story behind it. I love their first album, have done since it came out, because no other fucker I know listened to them. It became a bit of a joke to myself that I was the only one who liked them. They've gone through a shitload of lineup changes until there were none of them left, and it became really bad. Record label must have owned the name or something and just kept turning out the name. Then years later, they got back together as the original three. Then because Lisa, his wife, knew I loved their first album, she kind of got in on it with me. Then that extended out to our mates a bit. I think it was funny to all of us, me including, that I liked them. Then over quite a small time, they seemed to play a load of shows that we went to. One of them, I said, if we get to meet them, I'm getting their names tattooed on me. We came very close at this show because we were 3 of about 25 people to show up, which was some shit Ladbrokes promotional gig thing. Anyway, we went to watch them a few more times, but the funniest was at Victorious in Portsmouth last year. Bit of a funny chain. My mate Michelle's husband tattooed my wife Lisa and found out she quite likes Jamie T. Chris, Michelle's husband, is Jamie T's guitarist. He was playing Victorious and got us backstage when they played. Chris is such a diamond. So basically he met them in Portsmouth and then went back, grabbed my wife and took her to meet them too. He sent a whole bunch of pictures. I think the idea of signing me freaked them out a bit, understandably, but I got them all to sign a poster, and fittingly, I got Chris to tattoo it on me. Silly story, God. But it is a story.
Oh my God. That's the most important thing. It's a story.
The most important thing is that you had fun, Pat. So my tattoo that I will talk about today is my newest.
New one. I've not seen this properly. I love it.
So I went to South Africa, as I keep on talking about, and this is called the Dassie. And the Dassies live on Table Mountain, and they do appear in a few other places. But basically, it's apparently the closest relation to an elephant. Looks more like a guinea pig. And so we went to a tattooist, Manuela Gray. She's amazing. And she was like, you know, most people that come to me for animal tattoos, it's like lions and elephants and rhinoceroses. And I was like, yeah, give me a Dassie.
Why did you want a Dassie though?
Look at how fucking cute.
Yeah, no, it is. But how, like, had you
Look at his
seen...
little nose. Yeah, I went to Table Mountain and saw them. This is off a picture I took of one.
Oh.
I met that Dassie.
You met that exact Dassie. You're like, I'm going to tattoo you.
My mate. Yeah, basically, literally what happened. So yeah.
Oh, it's so nice.
This is the end of our first.
No.
Oh, you don't want it to end. I know, it's been fun, hasn't it? I mean, we cried and it was awful, but it was also great.
It was great. It was great. And it's only going to get better.
Yeah. I love you so much.
I love you so much.
Oh my God. Tell our sexy listeners that you love them.
I love you so much, our sexy listeners. How do we know they're sexy, just out of interest? Like, how much fan
If they're
stuff
listening to us,
get?
then they sexy. That's the criteria. Oh, speaking of my my trans rant earlier, one meme that I shared that I just thought was hilarious is like, stop talking about what defines a woman. If when Shania Twain says, let's go girls, you go, then you're a woman.
I love it. That's brilliant.
And I was like, yes, that should be the legal definition. All right. Well, I love you. I love our sexy listeners.
I love you.
And I hate neo-Nazis.
Absolutely. And I hate neo-Nazis. And I did not know that they were thought they were descended from aliens. Who knew?
Just you then, huh, neo-Nazis? Just you. They came down and they were like, we want to breed with your ancestors. Just yours, huh? Okay. Okay. Sure. Yes. All right. Love you all. And
love you.
Goodbye.
Bye.